This is Stephanie from Minneapolis.
Stephanie from Minneapolis. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm just calling because I feel like more people are talking about this, but it's not as common as I feel like maybe it should be. But have you guys, I think someone called in earlier about the Manosphere a while back.
I'm sorry, what?
The Manosphere. Yeah, the sort of misogynistic.
Yeah, and someone, like a friend of mine that's not in does not work in politics, sent me something about that last night and was like, I'm really concerned about some of the stuff I'm seeing on social media. That guy that someone wrote in about him before.
Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate, yes. So I had a friend just, reach out to me about that too.
Yeah, so the thing with the Manosphere, because I feel like Gamergate, for example, was super specific to a very specific niche of young teen boys to 20-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
But the Manosphere is really weird because it's targeting this weird entrepreneurial mindset, and then also very misogynistic. And then on top of that, since it is more hating women and sexual minorities, and it's not as targeted towards races I feel like Gamergate was in a lot of ways. A lot of men of color, specifically Black men, are getting sucked in. And it's kind of crazy to see because there's this one YouTuber, his name is Sneeko, I want to say. He's Black, and he blew up a few years back for just making random content, and now his content is very centralized towards this kind of Andrew Tate grind set. If you're not sleeping with a ton of women, or if you're not making a ton of money, then what are you doing? And you're useless. And it's this really weird degrading men who don't fit a specific kind of ideal.
It's
so
to
that
me
they keep
it's
coming back.
It's the melding of a Jordan Petterson style message with a traditionally masculine influencer aesthetic.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it because what makes it super appealing to such a broader demographic too. Because right now Jordan Peterson is losing his mind in other ways, but a lot of the self-help stuff that Jordan Peterson talked about a few years ago are still going viral, and there's still there's a sound on TikTok.
Yeah.
This is still online, but there's a sound on TikTok that uses one of his quotes from 2017, and it's very strange because I know that he's an evil person who does bad things, but the people using the sound don't, and the same people who wouldn't necessarily be as prone to falling for his transphobia stuff are very open to his self-help stuff, right? And so that same group of people are also being targeted by Manosphere stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think it's kind of crazy because I feel a lot of the right-wing pushes in the past decade has been more targeted towards white guys, and this is really giving racial inclusion. Everyone's getting in on it.
Yeah,
so,
I've mentioned this a few times, but Champagne Sharks, Trevor Bolu at Champagne Sharks did 2 episodes on this, CS 320, exposing the Manosphere. They did 2 parts on it, about 2 hours, if I remember right, about an hour each, and that specifically focused on the Black Manosphere. I mean, the through line is just intense misogyny and insecurity, and that sort of thing. It's the same sort of culture that you saw the pickup artists emerge from, basically, and except this time it's more of participatory among people on TikTok and stuff. I also want to say Hassan debated Andrew Tate, and it is the funniest effing thing I've ever seen in my life. Hassan absolutely blows him out.
Because at bottom he's an idiot. He's really a genuinely stupid, incurious, ignoramus. He's a huge moron.
So people should actually check it out. It's a 40-minute video. I think the debate is actually only 10 minutes. At one point, Andrew Tate has to take his headphones off and light up a cigar because he can't respond to Hassan, who zeroed in on this part of Andrew Tate's personality, which I don't know much about Andrew Tate, but this is very funny, that he is extremely skeptical of women drivers.
I saw that.
And how he came to this conclusion is he's in multiple car accidents with women. And I would just say to Andrew Tate,
so specific.
Bro, get therapy. Don't make an entire personality about that. And Hassan comes to him for facts, and he gets so upset that he says, "Oh, you're scaring all the girls away." I don't think.
And he takes off his headphones and lights a cigar, which is Freudian, but I mean, he needs another extension of a phallic object.
And it was great because Hassan one alphaed him. I haven't seen Andrew Tate in other contexts. I guess he's an alpha male, but he looked like a little boy.
Well, Hassan's the perfect person for that, just given how physically imposing Hassan is. But also, I mean, it is interesting how there's. I don't know what the crossover is with, say, traditionally incel kind of influencers. If you go down a really scary rabbit hole, you end up at Fuentes. But there's got to be some sort of, I don't know, connection between right-wing influencer or right-wing incel influencer rabbit holes and this new emergence of this kind of person, because they're very connected and very similar on messaging, even if the presentation is different.
Yeah.
I think the connection is probably since someone like an Andrew Tate, they pair a lot of right wing, I guess economic kind of discussions. So a lot of the idea that if you're not making money, or if you're poor or whatever, that's your fault, and that it's your job as not as an American, they don't use that, but as a man, as a productive member of society to make money and to do all these things and to exert your dominance over women. And so that just increasingly leads you towards that end. Also, in someone like Andrew Tate, a lot of his the way that he's spread a lot is through his Hustlers University program, where basically if you share his videos, you get, and people click on your link, you get a really solid cut of the first month's profits. And so a lot of these people, it's a really diverse group of people, and so a lot of them are just going to end up being far right, alt-right, especially white guys. And then they also will share people like Jordan Peterson. And the more you listen to someone like Jordan Peterson, you're going to run into Ben Shapiro. You're going to run into Steven Crowder.
All right. Well, Stephanie, we got to jump, but appreciate you highlighting that even more, because I'd flagged that myself. So appreciate it.
Ciao.
Bye.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ty Lopez, but he was an earlier iteration of this, where he's this guy who used to do all these YouTube ads where he's look at this Lamborghini I have. Isn't it pretty awesome how I have this Lamborghini that just happens to be full of attractive bikini models? How did I do that? I read 4 books a day or some. Here's Ty Lopez.
No, it's not the system. It's if you buy this product that I'm peddling to you, then you can be the highest elevation of yourself.
Well, there's this new thing where they use this you have to read 80 books a day, and it's all how to win friends and influence people,
right,
and
self-help,
that sort of stuff. Yeah, exactly, self-help. But let's play this Ty Lopez thing, because I think Andrew Tate's just the more of explicitly misogynist Jordan Petersonized version of this sort of hustle type thing.
If you don't have common sense, you ain't getting nowhere. We live in a world, people got college degrees, pieces of paper, they can't even get a job. And it's sad. I'm not saying this, I'm a college dropout. I'm not saying it to make fun of anybody. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, you know what's at a premium right now? Do you know what will guarantee you work, whether as an entrepreneur on your own or working for somebody else in a great job? The ability to see the big picture, have common sense, take action, be able to give insight to people, and not just be a robot. If you don't have common... All these
people are doing are just exploiting the fault lines and the massive craters, I would say, in our systems, and pushing it onto people as a personal pathology that they can only overcome if they do what they say.
Well, and how do you get common sense? Does it come to you as just, part of your innate human gift? Or do you have to take classes from Tai Lopez on things like media, platforms, property development, and corporation issues? So
it's a real amalgamation of topics.
It's like Trump University.
Yes.
And yeah, this stuff, Griscom talks about, when he was learning to shave, he had to teach himself how to shave online, and didn't have a male role model to do it. And he went to a website, and he checked in that website recently, and it's like something like manliness. I don't know if it's the art of manliness, but something like that. And it's just a far right place now. And it's like you catch, there is a lot of sort of basic human functions that are being squatted by reactionaries in culture, and it is worrying. And that's why Jordan Peterson was, sheep dipped is the phrase I would use. You can look it up, as a self-help guy instead of just a right-wing freak, because he's always been that. You can find clips of him in a fedora in like 2013 talking about how men won't or women won't sleep with nice guys or something like that. Like,
and then to just bring it back full circle as well, it's why why Joe Rogan also appeals to these same types, because it's a faux pseudoscience, basically, or a faux science that allows you to circumvent systems in the same way and become this idealized version of yourself. And it's toxic. It also is heavily individualized, and it undercuts any kind of collaboration and collective understanding of other people's experience.
Yeah, it's always marketed as almost apolitical, this stuff, being like, it's not about politics, it's just about your work ethic. It's about it's about grinding, it's about staying humble and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All of this is just cover for essentially austerity to a degree. It's basically being like, you are on your own, you have to make it on your own. If you get help, you're weak. If you get help, if you get assistance, if you have any sort of safety net, you're weak.
Do it yourself.
Which is ridiculous, because the entire sort of motivation is to be a passive income leech on society, where you invest in real estate scams and stuff like that and just get money for owning stuff.
You don't
which is
have
not
the
working.
right grind set. You beta male.
And it's blaming the victim, because the truth is, if you do have to work to keep a roof over your head and to keep food on the table, you are a victim of capitalism.
It's like that TikTok we watched a few months ago, those guys being like, yo, how much have you pulled from being a landlord? And it's like, I got 600 properties, $520 million. And it's like, oh my God, that's so sick. I'm literally a landlord. like my apex, my end goal is being in Las Vegas making money as a landlord. That's the end result. I've
been watching that documentary series on Netflix about the FLDS cult in Texas and Utah, and the fundamentalist Latter-day Saints, and how they see themselves getting closer to God is by how many wives that they accumulate, essentially. And I guess in the landlord capitalist mythology, the more properties that you accumulate, the closer you are to enlightenment.
You know what's funny is how obsessed everyone in America was with the Latter-day Saints. I'm reading old Bismarck newspapers from 1870s, and there's jokes about Mormons and how many wives they have. Every newspaper, and it was clearly a preoccupation. I feel like a lot of the men were kind of
jealous. Well, it's like they're titillated by it.
Yeah.
It's kind of why it's a little bit of why people like Law and Order SVU, sex and the violence together. I like it. And sexually pathologizing others is just an American. Well, people still are into it too.
Exactly.
It's fascinating.
They found those kids in a basement in the woods.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God.
But it is. You like that NXIVM documentary, Matt, and I actually think this is better. I'm in the middle.
Wait, you haven't saw the NXIVM? Oh, okay.
I started on your recommendation. Your recommendations hold weight with me, because I watched the Stavi stand up too, and I loved it.
Oh yeah,
there's also that show on Hulu about the FLDS thing, it's fictional. It's the Andrew Garfield under the banner.
It's just I'd rather watch the documentary than watch all these with
adaptations or
the Theranos one being a notable exception.
Yeah, that was good. The Dropout, that was good.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got a little sidetracked, but that was, I think, worth it for sure, because this is going to be the next frontier. Leech, the amount of bros on reality TV that call themselves entrepreneurs are direct results of these idiots, and people need to stop falling for the grift. Yeah.
Just a note on that. People fetishize startups. We have an entire culture, Silicon Valley venture capital culture, underwritten culture that says, it's never been time to start a startup. Not true. Actually, like the 60s or 70s were the best time, at the time where most companies that were under a year old were around. And it's been all downhill from there because monopolization is eating up all the companies. And it's actually never been harder to start your own business. So if you actually do care about that, you wouldn't be celebrating like Silicon Valley venture capital. You would be talking about antitrust.